was town marshal here. He's lying out there in an unmarked grave.
In case you haven't heard it yet, Stacy Bridges and the Carlin brothers are due to get out of jail today.
You're a man who makes people afraid, and that's dangerous.
Well, it's what people know about themselves inside that makes them afraid.
They, the dead, don't rest without a marker of some kind. Do you believe that?
Welcome home party, huh?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Movie Watch Live with me, the Mac with no name, Pete Mac, High Plains Ralph, and Tony the Stranger NASA. Tonight, we're watching a fantastic movie from 1973, released April 1973, 50 years old this April, directed and starring Clint Eastwood, the second movie that Clint Eastwood directed, the first Western that he directed, based upon the standard archetype of the man with no name, but with a twist. A hero who could be regarded as, in some ways, an anti-hero. And tonight joining me is High Plains Ralph. Good evening, High Plains Ralph, and how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Not so bad. I've just realized that the intro for tonight was less of an intro, more of just the entire movie. So if anybody wanted to avoid the ending being spoiled, I think I've just realized that, I should have maybe cut the intro a little bit shorter.
Well, you know what? They've had 50 years to watch it.
I think most people have probably seen the ending by now, yeah. So, have you seen this movie before?
Yes, I have. It's been a while, like a lot of the movies that we watch, but this is one that I have definitely seen. My family were Eastwood fans, and so this is definitely on the rotation. So glad to see this one come up. Yeah,
and it's another one that's really stood the test of time. It was digitally remastered about 10 years ago for the 40th edition, and the quality of the movie that you can now get on Blu-ray or whichever is much better than, maybe the copies we've seen on TV over the years.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
It's really stood up, it stood up to the last 50 years really well. And also joining me tonight is Tony the Stranger, NASA. Good evening, or I should say good morning, Tony, because it's morning over there in Australia, isn't it?
It is indeed, yes. How's it going?
Not so bad. And obviously, silly question. I know that you've seen this movie before. And any thoughts going into the movie?
Like Ralph, it's been a long time. I'm talking about mid-90s was the last time I saw this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a massive Eastwood fan. So it took me a while to get into the Westerns because when I was growing up, I didn't care for the past. I was more interested in science fiction and stuff. And it wasn't until I went to school and studied history and stuff like that I actually was like, the past is really interesting. So I started, getting more into it like that. And I think, what was it? Pale Rider was the first Eastwood Western I saw because it came out, in the 80s, and I was like, this is cool. So, so after that, it was sort of like, I'll go back and see how.
Yeah, it's similar for me. I think Pale Rider was like a movie that I caught. We're all similarly aged, and that was definitely one that really.
It was rotated on TV quite a lot. So yeah.
And what was interesting to me is a few years after that, I saw High Plains Drifter, and I thought, hang on, this is very much like Pale Rider. And what I've realized is, a lot of the themes of this movie were revisited in Pale Rider. I was saying to Ralph before the show, I think these two movies are like a dichotomy, it's anti-hero in this movie, without going too much into it.
Is he a ghost?
Is he a ghost or not, and where's he come from? And the more, not just where's he come from geographically, but metaphysically, and and Pale Rider is a similar idea, but someone or something which is more benevolent. And then in my mind, I think that there's three movies that fit together, and the third one of those three would be Unforgiven.
Yeah.
Because I think both of these movies influenced Unforgiven, and I think the three of those movies together make a set, in my opinion, anyway. But that's just me.
No, I do agree. Unforgiven fits really well because it's also that what I like about that is it's that, you know, I'm an old man. I'm at sort of, I just want to be left alone, but I need to make the wrong things right because
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Get off my dirt.
Yeah. But that's an interesting movie, that Gran Torino, a really good movie.
Yeah,
brought out the same time as like the British version of that, which was with Michael Caine, Harry Brown,
movie.
which is an amazing film.
I have not seen that.
I don't know what it is about movies.
I
Things seem to come in
recommend
like
Harry Brown,
clusters.
Ralph.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to watch that. It's an amazing movie. But interestingly, this is in 1973 one of two occasions where a Dirty Harry sequel and a Western directed by Clint Eastwood happened in the same year, because this movie was released in the summer of 70, well, released in the spring, really, April 73, with Dirty Harry's Magnum Force. The sequel to Dirty Harry came out in 73 in the winter, I think Christmas time.
Solid sequel too.
Yeah, and then 3 years later, we've got The Outlaw Josie Wales in 1976, which is in the same year, in the summer, with the next Dirty Harry sequel, The Enforcer, 1976. There's no coincidence there. I mean, Clint obviously knew exactly what he was doing. It was good marketing. And he had his two big hitting things going on because he was well known for being a cowboy and well known for being Dirty Harry. So he knew what he was doing. But it is a really good movie. For the second movie to be directed by him, Malpaso Pictures, it's just it is really well done. I was surprised it was directed by Eastwood, but I found out he learned a lot off Sergio Leone and Don Siegel. He learned so much off them, and he's a very intelligent man.
He's an exceptional director.
Yeah.
And for it shows. I was going to say, for it to show this early in his career, that's
it is a beautiful movie.
Astounding.
And that's why it has that timeless quality, and that's why it's stood the test of time. A lot of 70s movies are so dated. It's such a bad, like, sort of, I don't know, a really bad, corny 70s way. But this one doesn't suffer from that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I've heard his directing style throws a lot of people off too, because he's very understated.
Very casual.
He's very casual, and like, they're expecting people to scream out action and yell things. And they said pretty much he shows up, he's like, okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Go. And then when they're done, all right, that's good.
Very efficient director as well. He finished this movie ahead of schedule, and also it was without spending as much money, under budget as well.
Yeah, and that's just unheard of now.
And when there's some stuff, when you look at the logistics, he was really tight on the logistics and everything. I just realized as well, with StreamYard the way it is now, if you guys want to post anything on the screen, like if you've got a screenshot or anything movie related, I should say, man. If you've got anything that you've found or any movie images or whatever, I think you can post them on there as well. I think it gives you control of like the screen as well. So if you find anything, you can post it there to keep the viewers interested while we go through the show. So just again, a recap for those who aren't familiar with how these shows go. This is a commentary channel, reaction channel, review channel, chat channel. You can even call it like just a podcast. You can listen to us while you're doing the ironing or hoovering or whatever. You don't even have to watch a copy of the movie. The idea when we first started this was that you would watch a copy of the movie with us as we talk about the movie, but you don't have to do that. You can just listen to us if you want to. If you want to grab a copy of the movie, there are plenty copies out there. I can't find any free ones that I can recommend, unfortunately, but certainly I'm sure there's some out there, and it only costs a couple of dollars or a couple of pounds to rent one anywhere. It's quite commonly available, this movie.
And it's definitely one that's worth, it's worth a rental and worth a watch, in my opinion.
Definitely. I mean, it's the copy that we've all got, from what I can see, is 1 hour 45 minutes and a second.
Yep.
So it moves along, and certainly again another movie with no fat on it at all, and that's another thing which is in its favor. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a brilliant movie, but it certainly means you're not going to get bored with it, because there's never any wasted time. Unfortunately, modern media, I think that's like it's how not to make a movie or a TV show these days, and there's too many shows that suffer from that. Not all of them. There's some good stuff around, but unfortunately, a lot of stuff where
as soon as I hear a character say, "As you all know," I know it's okay. Like,
Here comes exposition.
Yeah, I mean, there's exposition in this movie, but it's done really cleverly, and it doesn't take long. It's just a couple of little things that are described just to get you up to speed, and it really, like, the exposition is literally like 3 minutes at the start of the movie. Yeah. Interestingly, this film, Clint Eastwood doesn't say anything for the first 7 minutes. Well, I think the first dialogue isn't until 6 minutes in. So the thing that really hits you with this movie is the fact that you've got a whole sequence of about 6 minutes of shots where the character enters the town, and it really gives you that feel of isolation, which, because it's not just this character who we don't know whether he's a human or a ghost or whatever, who's drifting across the high Sierra Plains, but the town itself is isolated, and that silence of no words spoken for the first 6 minutes, and of course Clint only starts saying something after 7 minutes. I think that really it's really impactful. It really gives the atmosphere so well. I think that was a good decision, because if you tell, like Sergio Leone would have done, if you tell the story with images, you don't need to speak necessarily all the time.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Trust your audience.
Yeah, definitely, and have respect for your audience's intelligence level.
I love a movie or anything which can tell a story without having to basically bog it down with dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean
that's another reason why I love Conan the Barbarian, because there's so little.
It's a limited dialogue, isn't it?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, he's only got
imagery.
Does he have? He only has one line.
A few lines throughout the whole thing.
I think two lines.
The longest thing is the
to hear the
what is best in life.
Of the women. Yes. Yeah, that's it.
To hear the lamentation of the women.
See your enemies driven out before you.
It's always good with when someone can actually do the whole, show don't tell. It's like, thank you. I'm not an idiot.
And I think that's something he definitely learned from Sergio Leone. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt. And it shows.
I'm glad
plenty of examples.
Yeah, if you're gonna pay attention, Sergio Leone was definitely one to pay attention to.
Oh yeah,
one of the top 10 directors, really.
I mean, Clint's what? Is he 90 now?
I think so.
93, I think.
93. And he's got another movie coming out. So
he was retired like about 7 years ago or something.
Yeah.
It's like I think he just loves working. I think he's just one of those.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a passion.
Oh, he's 92. So 92. He'll be 93 in 31st of May.
So he's kept going, and I'm not going to say.
I got to say, I love that picture that came out, I think last year or something, and it's just him pumping his own gas at the petrol station, and it's like, that's
yeah.
Like in his 90s, putting petrol in his car, yeah.
Oh, we have Jeff in the chat. Jeff, if you want to come on in.
Hey, Jeff.
So come on in if you want to come on in. The
you
link is in the Discord.
Before we kick off.
Check the Discord for the link. I'll at you in the Discord and you'll see where it is. Give me a second there, Jeff. So if you guys can just chat amongst yourself while I quickly do this for Jeff.
Absolutely. So anyway, this one is the one where let's see, the one about the bridge in Madison County, right? That's the movie we're watching. Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah. That's it. Where he's like an astronaut in Madison County.
Yeah, and he blows it up, right?
Yeah.
At the end. Yeah. Now, and I'm trying to run through, and I'm trying to think of Clint Eastwood stinker movies, and I'm having a tough time right now.
There's not many.
It's not easy. Like there's ones that I don't like as much as others. Like I didn't particularly like Bloodworks, but I just found it a little dull. But not because of the directing or anything. Just the plot wasn't particularly great.
What about the Every Which Way movies?
Oh, I thought they were fun.
Okay.
Yeah, they were good. It was getting used to seeing. Well, the guy who usually plays the baddie, which of course, plays his
brother?
cousin in those movies.
Yes,
Jeffrey Lewis.
Who's in this?
Who's this? Who's the baddie in this one? Who plays Stacey Bridges, the main baddie in this one? But getting used to him being a goodie. He has. We've got a wild Jeff coming in here.
A wild Jeff has appeared. All right, man. Yay.
Good evening.
Shut off YouTube there.
Yeah. So Jeff, have you seen this movie before?
Oh my God, have I seen it before?
All right, good, because you can explain it all to me.
Why don't you go buy 130 gallons of red paint?
Yeah, we were just joking, saying, "Okay, punk, have I used 130 or 230?"
Have you guys started already?
Not yet.
No, not yet. We're about to. So, what do you think of this movie as far as an example of storytelling goes? Is it
one of this is probably not the Man with No Name, but one of Clint Eastwood's, I think, better movies. It couples with. It's one of the few movies that they did that whole spirit, that kind of like supernatural, spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. Even though I already know the true story behind it. Yeah. But it kind of dovetails, kind of like with Pale Rider in the
definitely
the sort of like the hidden backstory of the guy that shows up that kind of rights all the wrongs. But it's one of his best. I thought I've always been a fan of this movie. I like the fact that they don't tell you. I like the fact that they don't really tell you about the gunfighter's history.
Yes,
and the town that's got this sort of this stain on it. Yeah, and all the players in it are not exactly the nicest people. It's a great movie.
Yeah, the ambiguity, that decision to do that was, I don't know, it was a happy accident. I think Clint decided to do that because we've discussed that it was, in the script originally it was going to be the brother, but then it was deliberately made to be ambiguous so that you wouldn't quite know who this person was. It was left.
Oh, now you ruined it for me.
No, spoilers. I was like totally going to watch this now.
Okay, yeah, all right. I was going to watch it. I guess I'm out now, guys. So,
but yeah, it's like I said, the fact that they don't tell you, it makes it all worth it, and it coupled with the musical score, which in itself is very creepy.
It's very sparse as well, isn't
yeah.
it? I mean, there is really not much music in the whole thing. You've got the intro, which is also the outro, which plays now and then in the movie, and very rarely. There's really it's. I was saying before that there's a really effective use of not much sound at all. You've got dialogue, but first 6 minutes of the movie, there's no speech, and it isn't until the 7th minute in the movie that Clint's character actually says something.
And you know, to allow show don't tell to happen, you have to have confidence in what you're putting out there.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's another thing that comes up that we're missing in a lot of movies today.
Very much.
It's just the confidence.
I'm gonna say nearly all movies today.
Yeah.
But I think it's as you were all saying earlier, and you've all said at some point, it's that lack of confidence in the audience.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, the audience doesn't get that respect.
They're not going to get it. It's like, well, if they don't get it,
sometimes
that's a good thing.
Yeah. Really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, like in this, the ambiguity is a good thing. It's something that when you walk out of the theater, it
allows you to become engaged in it, and you become part of the story.
And you think about it after you've left. So,
So you become part of the retelling of the story as well, which is the tradition of stories that we become part of them, and we become part of them by retelling them and giving our own interpretation of it, which is the way stories change through time, isn't it? We all give it our own angle.
Well, what's the saying? There's only 7 story types or 7 story structures in existence. You know, and everything is a variation off of those. So,
certain archetypes, and I mean, this film really does play with that archetype of the drifter, of the stranger, so well, and plays on the fact of Clint Eastwood's own established, as we've said already, the man with no name, but it's not quite the man with no name in this one. But yeah, definitely, and it plays on the tradition of Wild West characters who would be legends in their own time. They would be like ghosts in a way, because do you remember such and such? Oh yeah, he died in Reno, and then he turns up 10 years later in, I don't know, New Mexico or whatever, and these characters who popped up out of nowhere, and because America is a huge place and there was no real communication network, you could just go missing for years on end. And
huge place with huge people.
Yeah, this is it.
I can say that I'm an American. Back off, guys.
America.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So let's get started, boys. Jeff, you got a copy of the movie?
Yep, I got that.
No worries. So the copy we've got is 1 hour 45 and a second.
I'm using the link you provided.
Ooh, nice.
Did I provide?
Nice.
Oh yes, the link. With that link, I would ensure that you have adequate splices of the main brace, if you need it.
Yes.
And of course, mine is on Betamax.
Yes.
I'm the last existing Betamax player in the United States.
In the world. Right, let's get started then. So as usual, we'll give a quick countdown, and then we'll get into it. The countdown, when you there'll be 3, 2, 1, flashy hours. When you see the flashy arrows, if you're watching at home with your own version of the movie, you would press play when the flashy arrows come up on the screen. As we said earlier, you don't have to have your own copy of the movie if you don't want to watch along with us. You can just listen to us if you wish. And, like I say, when you're doing the hoovering or the ironing or something else, maybe not the hoovering because that makes a lot of noise, or whatever you want to do. And we'll give timestamps throughout if you are watching. We'll describe what's happening on the movie. We'll obviously be sharing our own knowledge and trivia, etc. as we go along. We hope you enjoy the show. Please leave a comment and like the video if you do like it. You can always subscribe. We're getting close to 5,000 subscribers now, which I'm personally unbelievably amazed by. So thank you very much to everybody who subscribed. That's an awesome thing that anybody would subscribe to me. So I really appreciate that. But also I can't go without thanking the people that have obviously helped to build this channel, like Ralph, like Tony,
you're welcome. You're welcome. That's welcome.
and everybody else who's been involved in this channel. And I'm sure when we get to 5,000 subs, we'll have a special celebration to mark the occasion. So for now, let's go ahead and start the countdown. And as I said before, when you see those flashy arrows come up on the screen, just go ahead and press play on your copy. Ready, gentlemen?
Ready.
Go. Let's go. Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Right. So, unlike a lot of movies, this is a universal one that Clint went through, rather than, I think it was it Paramount most of the time, or Warner's? But
you know what?
he didn't usually go through Universal, did he?
No, I normally was Warner Brothers.
Okay. See, I didn't know that. I didn't know which company he normally went through.
He normally went through Warner Brothers, but it was like a handshake deal. It was never an official contract or anything.
You know, it's funny. Yeah, I was gonna say he seems like the kind of guy that would do the old school handshake deals. Sorry if you hear bumping. My dog has decided he's going to climb in my lap and watch the movie with me.
Well, I dare say no one would renege on a Clint Eastwood deal.
Oh gosh, no!
I renege on the deal. I got a 45 Magnum. I'm gonna blow your head clean off.
Did we agree to 3 pictures?
Is quite different, isn't it, from what we're used to with? I think they're trying to emulate.
It's almost like a siren or a ghostly howl like in the background.
I would say, being from an Irish background,
like
automatically.
Banshee.
A banshee.
There you go.
You know a banshee. You know what a banshee is, don't you? It's like a banjo, but it doesn't have strings. And this was filmed on location in California. Now, Eastwood did all of the scouting himself for this one. Basically scout locations driving a pickup truck through Oregon, Nevada, and California. And it was, I think this is the forests in, it was, I think, Inyo National Forest in California. But yeah, I mean, he chose the shores of Mono Lake because it was considered very photogenic, because it is really a beautiful area.
Beautiful.
And but yeah, they did some scenes in Reno, and they also did some in Nevada's Winnemucca Lake. But we're coming up on Mono Lake here. Beautiful area. There is some stunning places in California.
Topography is beautiful.
Yeah, you can see why they picked it, and definitely influenced by Morricone, isn't it? That sort of soundtrack music there. I'm gonna have to put my volume down on my copy. It's even on the low setting. It's quite loud.
Okay, so yeah, I was just pulling it up. So that's in Eastern California.
Yeah, it's
out by the Nevada
Mono
border.
Lake. So this is the town of Largo, which in Spanish means lake. So it's not the town of Lego. Just want to make that clear.
Wow, good thing. Yeah, don't step on it.
But I mean, to be fair, I will say that it might as well have been the town of Lego, because it was an incredible achievement to build this town.
Yeah, they built it from the ground up. It's all just, a fake town out by the lake.
It was 300 miles away from Hollywood. 46-man crew technicians, 10 laborers, worked 10 hours a day, 18 days, 14 houses, and a 2-story hotel. So this entire town was built in 18 days.
Wow.
Just so they could, at the end.
That was after 17 years of trying to get an environmental assessment of.
No. This was 73. Back then, they didn't care.
Now, this is perfect, this opening. And it's very similar to the opening of Pale Rider as well. Let's do a similar thing there.
The tracking shot.
The tracking shots you'll see. And you'll also see a lot of deep focus and wide angle. And also you'll see the standard, perspective shots with the characters on the third quarter. So both this movie and Pale Rider open and close with the same location, that they've started with, same camera angle and time of day. So they're both considered what you would call a bookend movie.
Yeah.
And so simply done. Walk down the main street and you're introduced to all the main characters.
Yeah. Well, and you gotta, I
That's
guess,
an epic camera over.
Oh yeah.
And here is the town floozy.
I guess in the Wild West there wasn't a whole lot to do. So if somebody rode through the main street, I guess it was an event.
That's it.
Not much to do. That's why it's all standing around.
Staring at you. But it's brilliant that you get his perspective as a stranger as he rolls into town. Or rides into town.
And the whip crack.
Nice. They even have outhouses.
There's a reaction to the bullwhip there. Yeah, they even have outhouses. The attention to detail is amazing. And the thing was as well that the studio wanted to have interiors filmed in the studios. And not only were these houses built in 18 days, but they were built with complete interiors as well.
See, now that's what's impressive. It's not just shells or just
not just
fronts.
facades. Yeah. And that's what lends it that extra edge, really. That and that's just straight out of a Leone movie, that got The Undertaker.
Yeah.
But yeah, that gives it the edge because all of the interior scenes were filmed in the buildings, and that just makes it so authentic. You can't get that in a studio.
No.
And
I guess the one criticism I would have is the buildings do look nice and new.
Yeah.
And I would expect there would be more weather kind of.
I think the theory is that it's a mining town. It's only been there a few years. It's sprouted out of nothing because some of the buildings are unfinished.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like the Lego mining company. So they found, I don't know what they're mining, but
dirt.
They found,
dirt.
And that links into the background in the story that we get to find out later why the whole town is willing to do what it's done. I love when beer is served in a stemmed glass, by the way. It just makes the beer taste better.
Oh, yes.
In a bottle.
Nice. Get a Boilermaker going.
Bottle's on his left. One of the rare goofs. Watch for that one. And again, this scene's perfectly lit. It's just, you couldn't get this if it was a film set.
Oh, and even the positioning of the actors.
Can you see the perspective already? The use of perspective.
Mm.
And then Clint's on the left-hand corner there of the screen.
Yeah.
And you're going to get one of the memorable quotes in a minute.
Ooh, crazy eye, crazy eye, crazy eye.
Shit.
You never know where he's looking.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, he just lifts the brim of his hat really slowly.
Yeah, that's so good. Sometimes Mobius stash too.
Yeah. See the bottle's changed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just so you can pick the bottle up like that.
Yeah.
A lot quicker than you'll ever live to be. One of the best quotes ever.
Oh my God, he didn't drink the beer. Come on, for
Oh,
Christ's
come
sake.
on,
He
man.
downed that bad boy. Thirsty on the trail. It's weird, isn't it, in the Sierras, because it's hot during the day and freezing cold at night.
Yeah. I'm gonna go get a shave.
Yeah. Shower, shit, and a shave, as we say.
Make it 91.
Yeah. One thing that really, when I watched this movie the first time, the one thing I liked about the wardrobe was the fact that the coat he's wearing is one of the best coats I've ever seen.
He's a
Yeah.
good coat.
You can't get that coat anywhere. I tried. And it's interesting because when I was a kid and I saw Pale Rider and they all had the long rider coats,
Mhm.
I immediately went into the shopping area of my local city and went everywhere and said, have you got this coat? Nobody had them in. And like 2 years later, everywhere had those long rider coats.
Oh, yeah.
They came into fashion a couple of years later after that movie.
Now, I've just got to point out, would you really want a guy with a comb over like that to be your barber?
Cutting your hair. No.
I know, I was going to say that is the mother of all. That's the daddy of all
epic.
comb overs, isn't it, really?
It's the time mullet of comb overs.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Look at it. It's a thing of beauty. It's
Oh.
like spawns on his head.
That could be. That's a great
Venom,
idea, Tony,
sorry, not
for
spawn.
the villain. Villain
Villain
for
is the comb over.
yeah, the villain for Time Mullet is comb over.
Comrade, come over.
Oh,
Comrade, come over. Come over here. Now, one thing I didn't see the first time I saw this movie, you'll see it after the fight scene, and I didn't notice this detail, but it's how he manages to fool these guys into thinking that, he's sort of like
Shaky
defenseless.
definitely. When you're getting a shave with a straight razor, you don't want a guy with shaky hands.
No.
Never ever.
No. Here we go. Bang. Straight through there.
Yeah.
What gun is that? Is that a Smith & Wesson? That's a Navy Colt again, isn't it?
And the
Yeah,
fake blood.
I didn't.
Oh,
didn't
don't
get a
spill the
look at
booze.
it.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Oh, I
saying.
spilled
Yeah,
the
that was it.
booze.
I didn't notice that the first time I saw it, but it was the fake butt. That's what got them. The fake butt in the holster.
Ah,
Did you see that?
no.
He had a fake butt in his holster to make them think he still had it in his holster.
Oh, gotcha.
See? And along comes Mordecai, played by Billy Curtis. Quite a good actor. By the way, John Hillerman's also in this movie.
Yeah.
From you might know me from Magnum PI and Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles.
Ooh.
John Hillerman.
And there's General McAllister.
Yeah.
Time for you to die. Or the
Good line, that one.
Will
What did you say
Riker-
your name was again? I didn't. So timestamp wise, well, coming up on, we're just about 13 and a half minutes in.
Yep. Just
And we've already got body count of 3.
the Undertaker's moving in.
Yep.
Business is booming. They always have to find the tallest, lankiest guy
Oh,
to be
yeah.
the Undertaker.
So here's the town lady of.
Here we go.
Well, she's
Yeah,
certainly,
yeah.
let's just say she has an active social life.
On the
and
clock.
she's trying to bump into him, expecting him to say, "Oh, I beg your pardon, ma'am," blah blah blah, but he just puts it right back in her face.
Shoulder barging him.
What we don't know at this point is that this lady has probably broken up every marriage in the town. And it's not a very nice person, basically.
Yeah. Business is business.
Yep.
Hey, wait a minute. Didn't he spill that whiskey a minute ago?
Huh?
Didn't he spill that whiskey a minute ago?
Well, I think it may have been corked. Oh, don't knock out the cigar. Don't, no, you didn't.
That's
oh, no, you didn't.
Okay, so I think this is called the Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah, this is a struggle snuggle.
Yes, it's
and
picking grapes.
I'll have to get through this one.
Don't spill the booze.
Yeah, don't spill the booze, please.
By the way, you know the cemetery on the way in. There was headstones for all of the famous directors. So there was one for Sergio Leone, there was one for Don Siegel, and also all the other directors he worked with, even Brian Hutton, who was the director of Where Eagles Dare and Kelly's Heroes, two brilliant movies.
That's so good, though, sir.
But apparently the reason he did that was not just to honor them, but to say, I buried my directors. He's trying to say, look, I'm now going to direct my own movies.
I've learned all I need to.
Yeah. I'm just going to say here that she's not really fighting very much. But there you go. It's at the time, obviously, this is very, very shocking. You couldn't have this in a movie now at all, of course. But I think it brings across that we're not dealing with a hero here.
Yeah, exactly.
We're dealing with an anti-hero.
Well, yeah, he's an anti-hero in a town of scumbags.
Yes, so really, it's who's the least scumbag of all.
Degree of scumminess.
Yeah.
Well, and it gets away from the 50s era cowboys where the good guys wore white hats, the bad guys wore black hats, and it definitely throws a giant shade of gray on this one.
Definitely, massively, and I think that scene just proves it. But did you know that not only did the whole town get built in 18 days, but they even had the editing studio on site. There's a log cabin right near the shore, where they did all the editing for the movie.
Oh,
just did all the editing on site.
Well, and it comes back to like what you were talking about Clint being a very efficient director, running a very efficient shoot, and
it was filmed in only 6 weeks. 6 weeks.
That's impressive.
We're all gonna do it all in one take.
Yeah. So,
or else.
Do a second take and you'll pay.
No, it doesn't sign the register.
Good choice. No, because it doesn't exist. A bit like voters. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Oh, snap.
Oh, we didn't.
Did I say that?
Make your mark.
So yeah, the guy you just saw there was the hotelier. The character's name is Lewis Belding, played by Ted Hartley, one of only 3 surviving cast members. I think Ted Hartley's in his 90s, and he doesn't even look like he's in his 90s. So it's just him, Clint, and the lady we just saw earlier there. The actress's name is Mariana Hill, playing Callie Travers.
Okay.
So we've just gone over 19 minutes, and we're already going to get like a dream sequence. And this was done deliberately because there's a few different elements in the story which are done deliberately to give that supernatural edge to the movie. And this is one of them, the dream sequence that's trying to take you out of reality slightly, and you're going to see the sequence where the marshal is whipped to death, and the person playing the marshal is actually deliberately looks very similar to Clint Eastwood, and that's another deliberate attempt to blur the boundaries between reality and the supernatural, and to, as Jeff was saying earlier, to bring that sort of ambiguity, because the person playing the marshal is actually Clint Eastwood's stunt double.
Oh, okay.
So this is a guy who worked with him on all of his movies. Buddy Van Horn. So that was done deliberately. So he looks not identical, but very much like him. You're still thinking, is it the same guy? Is it his brother? What's going on?
I can't believe Higgins would involve himself in this.
He's just
well, you know.
Higgins.
But now you're seeing the backbone of the story, which is, you know, they're all looking on and doing nothing about it. So
keep that line in mind.
Yeah, definitely. Which is why starting to see that. Why is this stranger come to town? Is there a reason?
Now, with Higgins, what was his claim to fame? He was something with the bridge over the River Kwai, right? In Magnum P.I.
Yeah. He played.
John Helena.
So
he was a lot of stuff.
No, I mean the character itself. I seem to remember the character of Higgins having some fascination with the bridge over the River Kwai.
No, he was involved in World War II.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he fought in World War II. The character did.
Okay.
So I think Jeff was touching earlier on how the film, the background of the story, was inspired by the 1964 murder of Kitty Genovese, 28-year-old bartender in New York, stabbed outside her own apartment building. The New York Times did an article saying that 38 people watched and did nothing, which inspired this story. But I think this story uses that as a starting point, but it becomes something completely different anyway. Yeah. I think it's a basis for it, but it's not really. This story goes beyond that really a lot, doesn't it? I mean, it's a lot more than just using that as a starting idea. And it turned out anyway that the New York Times had faked the details of the story. Shock horror. Who would have believed it? Because
I'm stunned.
Yeah, I am absolutely speechless. The article was highly inaccurate. A dozen people had actually seen the event, called for help, and made the police aware. And it was apparently part of the movement to adopt the 911 system.
Oh.
So
now everybody would have filmed it for social media. So
I know, shocking, isn't it? So doesn't bear thinking about.
Yeah. Oh snap! That's what you would have heard.
Oh no. Yeah.
Oh, he's back to the barbers again now. I love the way the window hasn't been repaired, because it wouldn't be yet. They're in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, makes sense.
Mordecai. This is the weirdest thing when obviously Mordecai gives him a bath. It's a bit strange.
I'd be freaking out if I saw a shaking blade like that coming in my throat.
Yeah, it's a little unnerving if you ever get shaved with a straight razor. It's like you pay a lot of attention to the people's hands.
Mm-hmm.
Have any of you ever actually had a straight razor shave before?
I
tried it once.
Yeah, I tried it
myself.
Oh no, I tried it.
No, I'm not doing this.
No, I've had a barber trim me with a straight razor. And
I think I may have shaved once.
It was the most disappointing experience because the blade was not sharp.
Oh, lovely.
No, gotta have a sharp
like
blade.
the hair was being ripped out of my face. It was just
no, that's not good.
And I was expecting the whole, getting the leather strap out and back and forth. Nah, none of that. There was no shaving.
And that's why it wasn't sharp.
I was like, it's the most disappointing, like $21 overspent.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, this is why I used Gillette until a certain advert came out. I thought, sod that.
Well, you can always go with the mountain man look. That's
well, I mean, stubble is now trendy, isn't it?
Yeah, see?
So you most people just use like a what is it? Buzz shaver thing. And they keep it like a stubble length.
Not me. I wax my face. All except the glorious stash.
I use an orbital sander.
Keeps my skin the way it is.
Yeah.
Like sandpaper.
Keeps me looking crinkly and rusty. Here she comes. Now, how she doesn't hit him. I mean, that bullet would ricochet around that bathtub. But maybe that's more evidence that he's not really human. She is batshit crazy, though. But I mean, she's got a reason to go and try and kill him. She doesn't give up. She tries about 3 or 4 times through the rest of the movie.
Well, fortunately, they had a bucket of water, and that's all you needed.
Yep. And then
situation.
And he still has a cigar.
And the way he comes out there, and I think it's because he didn't go back for more. And it's filled with this kind of black humor throughout, isn't it? That's definitely from Leone's influence. So here's the town council, and the exposition happens now. So everything you need to know on the face of it for the most of what's happened previously is described in the next couple of minutes.
I need to check one of the actors out.
It's because I'm trying to pay attention to see if they do it smart.
It is as well done as you can do it, really.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like the idea of the town council as well. It's a tiny little town, but they've already got a town council. So now they're telling you about the 3 guys he's just wasted, which were paid goons who were there to protect them from another set of paid goons.
Smart goons.
Stacey Bridges and his gang, the Carlin brothers, are getting out of prison, and they're going to come back and wreak their revenge. So the idea was these other goons were going to kill the other goons. Then we'll find out later that the original goons were paid to look after the town and got too big for their boots.
Yeah.
So this town is all about deferring responsibility for their actions. The idea in the Old West that you can just pay a gunman to do the dirty work for you. It's the idea of don't get your hands dirty.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of like now.
Are you suggesting our political class are corrupt?
No.
Sorry, I'm going to have to report you to the
Perish the thought.
Never.
This is it's quite a good quote coming up here from Callie Travers.
He didn't say the secret words, the ones that always make a lady relax. Calm down.
Oh, there you go. Keep your
Uh-oh.
mouth
There we
shut.
go.
We're starting to hear. I can remember some hysterics not too long ago.
Bit at Riker.
I think she might be upset, guys.
With a full set of balls.
I want to
think
talk
she's-
to the manager.
Come on. And she's got to be from New York. Now, they're in the middle of nowhere, but the food looks great. It really does. It's like I don't know what he's eating. It looks like roast chicken and mashed potatoes, and then she brings out a big pie for him and everything, and it's just like, oh.
You know, I was watching My Name Is Nobody a while back.
Yeah.
And it's like,
when they go into the fancy restaurant.
The fancy restaurant, meaning
they
the
get all
giant
the fancy duds. Yeah.
the giant skillet of beans and the loaf of bread.
It's like a really posh restaurant. I think that was the inspiration for when they did that with the Blues Brothers. You know.
Oh, that's
Because
probably a good point.
Yeah. So that's we've seen the example of the woman who was a bit, crazy. Now we're seeing the other type of woman here, which is the character of Sarah Belding, played by Verna Bloom, who was in quite a lot of different things actually. And Sarah Belding is the wife of the hotelier, and she's been hard done by because we get to find out that the hotelier, along with most of the other men, has slept with Callie, and she's not had a good time really. And she was the only one who wanted to do anything when the marshal was being murdered. She was the only one who wanted to stand up for him in the whole town, apart from Mordecai, who was too small to do anything about it.
Yeah.
You just clap those braces right on him.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm no
You just
longer.
slap this badge on me when your Marshall Duncan got murdered. So we can see now you can find out more about what happened to Marshall Duncan. So the whole town are cowards, everybody.
Yep.
And it's this story's in some respects about what happens when what you've done comes back to haunt you.
Yeah.
If only it was the way with a lot of people in authority. Never mind.
And he's laying it out right there. It's like, you got a whole town.
Yep.
You got a kabillion guns.
Yeah.
Ambush them.
Now there's even a similarity. Now I don't know whether it's meant to be the same character, because we've talked about this film in Pale Rider. In this movie, we have the character of Sarah Belding, and her surname's Belding, but without spoiling things too much, she does leave the town at the end, so she's going to change her surname. Oh God!
Now you ruined it.
She's going to change her surname. Now in Pale Rider, there's another character, but she's called Sarah. I think Sarah Wheeler. Okay. Now, I think it's the same character, because there's a scene that I've always wondered, what the hell does this mean? In Pale Rider, where he goes to see her at the cabin, and she hears a voice out in the woods. She's in the cabin, but she hears a voice, and she says to him, "Who's that?" And he says, "A voice from the past."
Oh.
Well, now that also makes me think: is the character in Pale Rider the same character as High Plains Drifter?
Well, there is Pale Rider. There is a supernatural component to that.
Absolutely.
Because it's pretty obvious when you see the scars on the guy's back from the bullet holes.
Yeah.
That he's dead. You know, that he was shot by this. There's no way.
Yeah.
He would be able to survive that because he was shot by that marshal.
Yeah.
And so there is a spiritual component to that, and calling him Pale Rider brings him back.
Plus, like he sort of comes out of the snow at the beginning and then goes back into the snow.
There's so many similarities.
Beautifully done.
I just wonder if it's the actual same sort of being.
Spirit. Yeah. That's kind of like he's a spirit of vengeance sort of thing. Like Ghost Rider.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'll be right
back.
But
it's hard to tell because he's a benevolent spirit of vengeance. He only wreaks vengeance on he doesn't do any graping in Pale Rider.
Good point.
So, but I'm pretty sure it's this character of Sarah is the same, played by a different actress, but I think it might be the same character in Pale Rider.
See, now I'm gonna have to go watch Pale Rider again.
Well, that's not a bad thing. It's a beautiful movie.
Not a bad thing at all.
No, not a bad thing at all.
You don't need an excuse to watch Pale Rider.
All I can say is when I was a little kid and I watched that, I can remember that I did think that the female actress who plays Sarah's daughter was quite attractive at the time. I can't remember her name now, actually. What was the actress who played? I forget now.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
No.
It's been a while since I watched Pale Rider as well.
Sydney Penny, I think. Is it? Might be wrong. Yeah, I think it's Sydney Penny.
Ooh, new saddle and everything.
Yeah, it was Sydney Penny.
See, there when you say we'll give you anything, you should always be worried that they'll take you up on that offer.
Anything.
Definitely, but I think that the difference as well with this in Pale Rider, when the head honcho comes back, that's a mining town thing as well, but he comes back and offers the preacher anything, and he says, anything I want. And he goes through all the things he could ask for, and he says no. At the end of it, no. But in this one, he says yes, because he wants to take them for everything they've got. It's all part of his plan to show them some justice for what they've done. I think the best thing would be to watch this movie and then Pale Rider straight after it.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I would agree. There's no charge.
There's no charge.
Megan Wheeler.
Anything he wants in this town. And a kitty.
There you go. That's it.
And this is where he makes Mordecai sheriff and mayor.
Oof.
And the mayor.
Yeah. That's fine.
Objections. At least the mayor's excited. He's not all bummed out like, I'm the mayor.
Couldn't declare a holiday.
Hot damn!
Hot damn.
Needs a gun.
I love the Mordecai character.
He's great.
Great.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this
no West is complete without a halfling.
That is a beautiful firearm.
That is a nice
indeed.
Gun. As I was saying before, like when I was younger and I didn't really care for the past. It was funnily enough, I was never really a huge fan of revolvers when I was younger because they didn't hold enough. But as I got older, once again, I was like just watching old westerns, going, God, they were a thing of beauty. Those weapons, they were just beautiful.
Yeah, they really.
Well, I had a cap gun when I was a kid.
The art, it was artwork in depth.
Yeah,
yeah.
I know.
And a lot of them, will have engravings on the barrels, and
beautiful.
You should see the ones in the military. When we went to Venice, we had a look in the military museum there, and the early firearms made in Italy in the 16th century and the 17th century. Unbelievable, the engravings on them and everything.
Oh yeah,
amazing and incredibly advanced for the time. Because if you had the money, you could get these kind of weapons. And obviously, the revolver didn't come round until, was it Colt who invented the revolver? I'm not sure.
I was going to say, as an American, I'm ashamed to say I don't know.
Okay, well, that's your homework.
Yeah, that's my homework.
So here we see the three bad guys.
That's what he done. That's what he done.
You don't sell our horses. And so yes, you got Jeffrey Lewis playing Stacey Bridges, and you have Anthony James, who was very much like emo before emo was a thing. Playing Cole Carlin, and who plays the other brother? The other Carlin brother?
Dan Vadas.
Is that who it is?
Yeah.
Because when I saw him, I thought, I mean, it's obviously not. Who's the guy who was in No Country for Old Men?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
And he was in Goonies when he was a kid.
He was also Thanos.
Yeah, he was also Thanos.
Josh Brolin.
Yeah,
Brolin.
His dad. That would be his dad.
Yeah. So, I mean, Josh Brolin. I mean, I literally thought that's Josh Brolin. And it's not, of course. It just looks a lot like him. So here's the setup. And none of these men have ever... I mean, you can't believe it. You would think one of them would have fired a rifle in that time. I mean, it's...
Well, it was uncommon if you didn't, because a lot of people, especially out in the territories, had to frickin' hunt. And of course, you had to defend your land and all that other stuff. So it would be uncommon for someone to not know how to use a rifle.
Yeah, I would have to agree.
So what do you think? I mean, do you think it's like they're just bad shots?
I don't know if I'd want to be riding in that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a job I would have passed along to somebody else for sure.
Yeah. I think it's the idea that they're a bunch of guys who are there by virtue of the money that the mine's making, and none of them have really... They've all come from the East, maybe, and none of them have ever had to survive like that. They've gone out there on the basis of, let's try it out. Because the preacher has like a Boston accent.
So just getting back to your question before, it seems that Samuel Colt did invent the first revolver.
Well, shock horror from a Brit.
Go. All righty.
1836.
There you go. I'm an honorary Yank now.
hey, yeah, I told you. All you gotta do is make it to Texas, man.
Hell yeah.
We'll go.
It's the Irish blood in us, you see.
Oh yeah. Stars at night are big and bright.
Man.
So this is the
and it's a law.
City of Lego. Sorry, Lego.
Lago. Gotta go with the Spanish. Lago.
Yeah.
Lago.
Practicing the volunteers, but this is this actor. You're gonna look awfully silly with that knife sticking out your ass. This is the guy who was in. He was also in other movies with.
Any Which Way But
wasn't he?
Loose.
Every Which Way But Loose.
Yeah.
The
biker leader.
The nasty biker. Let's just say the word nasty.
Oh, Mordecai.
You're still here.
Yeah,
no, I'm just going off to change my pants. And she goes in the back of the hotel frustrated. That's assassination attempt number 2.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a law in Texas. If you go out anywhere on any street, corner, wherever, and sing out "The Stars at Night" or "Big and Bright," everybody has to clap and sing out That's right.
Big and bright.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure is a documentary.
It is. He's got like a nice little row of cigars there because he's just, probably going to lose them.
The way those guys shoot, he's probably going to need them.
You men carpenters. You the carpenters.
You carpenters. And this is where they start ripping the wood off the side of the barns to make the tables. Yep.
The bullets on Mordecai's bandolier are almost bigger than he is.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Yeah, I gotta look. I can't tell if they're. I'm guessing they're shotgun shells, but
that's big.
The setting for this movie. I can see this and the look of it, and you know how a lot of movies now have this obsession with like a very small palette, and there's like 2 main colors, and you can see it's orange and blue in this movie, orange, brown, and blue, and you can see this has definitely influenced that kind of filmmaking. But I'm thinking of movies like Silverado as well, where they had the same, and it's a similar kind of look, isn't it?
Spurs. Well, it's funny how the blue and orange became a big staple for movie posters during the this millennium, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It's like Blade Runner 2049, all that's just blue and orange all over it.
Because they're high contrast as well. It's like opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of the color spectrum. I think it's just a part and parcel of movie making now. Is all about sort of like quick wins that are tried and tested instead of doing anything new.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that Mordecai has become like his right-hand man.
Yeah, he's correct.
He's been elevated to the senior position, hasn't he? Yeah. The lowest of the low.
Well, and even Mordecai's even got the cigar like Clint's character.
It's probably too that because people don't take him seriously, he really knows how everything works in the town. Because they probably talk in front of him and stuff.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Out.
Some great lines in this movie.
He's just very direct. Yeah.
So this is the live action version of Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Quest number 2. Uh-oh. You're now wanted for murder. Yeah, they're Navy Boats.
Achievement unlocked. Indiscriminate murder.
Yeah.
It's like
and the guy running through the woods, it's like, dude, don't run. They're just going to shoot you in the back.
You're going to die tired.
Yeah. And where's your gun? He's got a gun in his holster. Why are you running? Shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot back.
He's waiting for Time Mullet to save him.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have the budget yet.
Yeah.
We'll come back for you.
Oh, damn.
Time Mullet is busy fighting Comb Over at this point. This is gradually morphing into a movie or a comic book or something.
I can't wait to start filming.
Time mullet.
Yeah. Time mullet.
Some snappy duds.
Snappy duds. There's nothing like stealing the clothes off of a dead man.
Yeah, which he's probably soiled himself when he died. So
yeah, that is a nasty side effect of dying.
Yeah.
Well, they do have underwear on.
Yeah.
True.
And these guys probably don't smell that good by now, anyway.
There's some nice horses. There, 3 horses. They're a bit fat.
They're nice horses.
They are a little bit tubby, though. I've noticed. Because where I work, we have a stables right near where I work. So you see them coming out all day, the horses, the people riding them on,
All right, gentlemen.
Just give them shotguns.
And
they've got shotguns.
Miss with a shotgun.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. How can you miss with a shotgun? Shotgun, you just get it in the general direction.
Get General McAllister out there to teach you.
Yeah.
If he's not too busy, importing heroin.
I'm sure he's in this movie. He doesn't really. He's the guy he's the bootmaker.
That's him there with the stash. That's McAllister.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. Sorry, I thought you were talking about
Mitchell Ryan.
Yeah, sorry.
He just needs Mr. Joshua to help him.
He appeared in Magnum Force as well, didn't he?
Yes, he was his friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I said, Riker's dad in Next Gen.
Yeah.
Now everybody's getting upset about the deal.
The deal. It's all about the deal.
Oh, we told him he could have anything.
By the way, Clint Eastwood, Paul Brinegar, Robert Donner, and William O'Connell all appeared in Rawhide.
Nice.
Oh,
so a lot of these actors actually started out together. So there you go. The lighting here is perfect, really, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, it is great.
It's just so. This is why it's not dated. It just looks like you're there in the room with them.
Well, the best now that I know that they actually built the interiors as well as the exteriors together, it's great because they're on set. They're like on location.
Yeah, and the set design as well. It's
great.
So really authentic as well.
And it's great that you brought up the lighting because this one you can see everything's well lit as compared to the 90s when everything looked like it was filmed, on a sitcom stage. And then you move into the 2000s and the 2020s where it's just a black screen with sound.
No.
It's shocking, really.
Did
you know that shortly after this movie was released, Clint Eastwood wrote to John Wayne because this is obviously, as I said before, this is Eastwood's first directorial. It's his directorial debut doing a western.
Doing a western, yeah.
So his dream might have been to work with John Wayne because John Wayne was still doing westerns.
Oh yeah, he was still.
But Wayne wrote him an angry letter saying that he denounced this movie completely because it was violent. And it was the revisionist, anti-hero.
Mm-hmm. Well, the funny thing is that with True Grit, John Wayne would end up playing a bit of an anti-hero.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I gotta tell you there, Clint, I don't think the way you're doing your movies the way it was in the Wild West.
Do you know the only growing up right? The catchphrase from John Wayne that I was taught was "Get up your horse and drink your milk." I don't even know what movie that came from. It was just like the thing you said.
Yeah, I mean,
probably the Green Berets.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
This is great. This bit where the preacher goes and says, you put these people out on the street. Well, why don't you house them? And this is my argument for everybody who goes on about oh no, this crisis, and we should take these people in. Okay, are you going to take some in yourself then? So let's see if the wealthy Somebody did, didn't they? Who was it who took in some refugees in America, and they lasted about 1 week and asked them to leave the house? I forget now.
Yeah,
I remember that. I remember that wonderful occasion where was it the Texas governor bust them all into that rich area up north in DC.
New York.
Oh yeah,
Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard.
Yes. That was it. They were like freaking out. Martha's Vineyard.
People,
you can't bring them here.
I didn't mean here.
Come on, I love it.
I can say, you know,
This is Amity Island.
Poor Del Rio, Texas can't handle, you know, everybody. So,
do you know, like the size of Martha's Vineyard? It's actually big enough to house about 100,000 people easily.
Yeah. They just don't want them.
Exactly. So this is the fact that Sarah's now trying to point out to him just not a fan of the way he behaves, but it becomes apparent to her that
I will be right back, gentlemen.
Yeah, it becomes apparent to her that he's not all bad, but it is a grey area, definitely.
And then I think this is a flashback.
Yeah, so now we're seeing Mordecai's flashback because this is where he was when the event happened. There's a similarity here as well to Kurosawa as well, isn't it? Because I think it's in Yojimbo, which was the inspiration for Fistful of Dollars, where at one point Yojimbo, the samurai there, the wandering samurai, hides under the boardwalk, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
When he escapes, when he's escaping and they're searching for him everywhere, he hides under the boardwalk. So maybe that's a little tribute to Kurosawa there.
Brilliant movie, Jimbo.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Have you seen Sanjuro?
Yeah, I've seen. I went through Kurosawa.
Do you know, before Disney ruined Star Wars, I always thought Sanjuro, because Star Wars was based on Hidden Fortress, I always thought Sanjuro would have made a brilliant adaptation into a Jedi movie. Because it's about one of the last remaining samurais at the time, taking a whole load of young samurais under his wing. That would make a fantastic Jedi story, but that's all gone now. Thanks, Disney.
Mufune was so good.
Yeah, so this is a different perspective.
Pete, there's still hope. There's still hope. They're making a new one. Ray's coming back.
Oh, good. Yeah, a ray of sunshine.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I so loved those three sequel movies.
Yeah,
this is so well shot because it's so savage.
So what we're seeing on the screen is basically, if this was a meme, the Marshal on the floor would be the legacy of Star Wars, and the three men whipping the shit out of him would be the sequels. That's like the meme. But anyway, you can see the preachers just standing off at a distance doing nothing. And I was just saying to Mrs. Mac earlier that it's a bit like the story of the Good Samaritan, you know, where the priests walked by on the other side and left the man to die. And bystanders who just won't do anything about it to help. And there is actually a scripture reference in the Church of Isaiah, which is about, you know, the man of sorrows, stricken and like cursed. And I think that's partly the character of Marshall Duncan is partly like that. He's despised and rejected by the whole town, man of sorrows. And And you can see how Sarah's just run out there to try and help, and her husband stopped her. So in the town, there's really only two people with any sort of virtue, and that's Sarah and also Mordecai.
Mordecai, yeah.
This is so savage, this scene.
Yeah. And that's him dead.
He's dead, Jim.
He's dead, Jim. And sadly, we're seeing scenes like this now today, aren't we? Where people are savagely attacked in broad daylight sometimes in cities.
Yeah. And like today, people just sort of stand by.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not 3 guys. It's like 50, but whatever.
And off they go. Yeah, and I mean, that whole scene was quite surreal, wasn't it? The way just nobody did anything. They just stood there like statues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
Yeah. And now it fades away like that. It's the darkness. Yeah, he knows that she's trying to murder him, or got somebody to try and murder him anyway. Did you know this is one of the few films that, well, today this doesn't happen often, but this film was actually filmed in sequence.
Really?
Yep.
Nice.
Completely strict sequence. And I think, strangely, that helped it to stay on target, and
Continuity
that's one of
as well.
yeah. I mean, they just scene. They didn't have to go back and do anything, and that's how he's able to finish in just 6 weeks.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah. Don't get that meat in your boa.
I eat like a bird.
And you see the parallel here. You've got Callie there, and you've got Sarah serving the food. Because in a sense, I mean, if you want to go really sort of highbrow, then the Wanderer is a little bit like Odysseus or Ulysses. And in that story, you've got the parallel between Ulysses and King Agamemnon. And King Agamemnon's wife was unfaithful while away, whereas Ulysses' wife stayed faithful. So you have, well, in those stories, you have contrasting characters.
Yeah.
And in this story, you've got the two contrasting women, because I think they're the only two women in the cast, aren't they?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, they are, yeah.
A little bit of trivia here that because they changed the name of the town to Hell, after they changed the name during the film, Clint Eastwood would always tell the cast to go to hell.
Go to hell.
Yeah.
Oh,
pardon?
Sorry. I was rolling.
That's a wild coyote there in the desert.
Sorry. I was rolling my chair back to my desk, and I just hit his tail. Give me a sec.
Oh, you see, we have to report that now, Ralph.
Poor doggy.
Well, coincidentally, they've just shot one of the horses on screen.
That's just mean.
But yeah, it just shows how callous they are, because they've obviously been riding the horses too hard and not carefully enough, and caused the horse to go lame.
Poor horsey.
Here's little Mordecai.
Mordecai really wears that hat well.
He does.
Not a lot of people can pull off a hat like that, but he really does.
Yeah,
and down goes Mordecai.
Like he
is rocking that look.
Imagine if everyone else in the human world was twice the size of you. It's that's what it was like for Mordecai. This is an interesting sequence coming up. I think it really reaches the mayhem that he causes to the town really sort of reaches its peak at this point.
Sweet God, what's happening?
Look what's happening? I talk like this all the time.
Oh, wait, there's the third woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and a fourth.
There's not credited.
So there is other women there. Couldn't be worse if the devil himself had ridden right into there.
Perhaps he did.
So she thinks he's fast asleep. Off she goes. This is murder attempt number 3.
I'm thinking this is probably the safest town in the world to live in because they're so incompetent they couldn't kill you.
Pretty much. It's run by Democrats.
Well, obviously not the Clintons. Well, never mind.
Don't talk about that. We'll definitely get taken down.
Yeah.
Don't want the stream taken down, please.
Yeah, we'll all wind up Minecrafted.
Anyway.
Minecrafted.
Minecraft. By the way, in Clint Eastwood's next movie after this, Breezy, also 1973, there's a poster of this movie at the movie theater. Again, good marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's closing that door real quiet.
Oh, nice. Door shuts. Goes to complete silence.
Mm-hmm. He's got a proper pimp hat, hasn't he? It's like, come on, Will. You're a good girl. You're my favorite girl.
Where's my money?
Where's my money? You give me the money. I can't say the word.
No, you can't.
It begins with a B. Can't say it. It's prescribed.
Smack.
There you go. We're gonna lag you, son of a B. This is perfect. This is straight out of the Leone movies. When he lights the stick of dynamite with his cigar. This is fantastic. This. Look at how well they did this.
Nice.
It's so good. He's just completely destroying the town.
You're not getting a...
Yeah, what a gent.
So
he wings him.
Yeah, I forgot who it was that ran out into the wilderness.
Yeah. Now, and of course, she expects him to take her with her. And of course he won't because he just wants to save his own skin.
Yeah.
Don't let me hear you kill me. We actually won't kill you because you're not worth it. Yeah, Jack Ging, G-I-N-G, plays Morgan Allen. And yep, there's Ted Hartley, Lois Belding, and his hotel's completely ruined now. And there's only one bedroom left now that he can sleep in. Spare bedroom. So we're at 1 hour and we're coming up on, I think, is it almost 10 minutes? 1 hour, 10 minutes soon?
I have 1 hour, 9 minutes, and 50 seconds.
Yeah, about the same.
Roughly the same,
Yeah, someone left the door open. Someone left the door open, and the wrong dogs came home.
Go ahead, make my day.
Get the shovel.
Wrong.
Well, do you, punk?
Right now, I don't feel too agreeable. He wants to give him a little bonus. I've just realised for the last hour, Jeff's comment's been on the screen.
Oh.
The word yo has been sitting there for the last hour. Oh.
Yo.
You know, the thing is that my first book, the Hal Cedric character, is kind of I wouldn't say modeled off of this particular character, but he's modeled off like that sort of that avenging angel
concept.
Yeah.
Except he's a little less dark and not so anti-hero-ish.
Yeah, I mean, this is. I don't
So
know,
I shouldn't go back and reread it, thinking of dialogue.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you tie this movie with the Pale Rider, it's along the same lines. That an avenging angel comes back, and that's kind of where I was going with all that, because this movie.
Next time I watch The Wraith, I'm gonna have to think of Clint Eastwood's voice instead of Charlie Sheen's.
Yeah. Charlie Sheen, Clint Eastwood does that way better.
Yeah,
I mean, I think this is a nemesis character, definitely, but it's a nemesis from the underworld, isn't it?
Do you know what the word nemesis means?
Well, it's supposed to mean avenging, isn't it? It's
yeah.
It's.
I was quoting Bricktop from Snatch. I can't do the rest of that dialogue though.
And like a coward, he just lets the gunfighter take his own
I
wife.
was just thinking the same thing. This
Literally
guy's taking your wife.
Yeah, this just shows how cook he is.
Back to your own bedroom.
Yep.
How?
But the point is that he doesn't even care about his wife anyway, because we find out that, he's been messing around with the town sort of floozy as well,
So going to go back to the kitchen and make me some pie.
Their marriage is already just a sham anyway. But yeah, he's got no balls. Man's going to get his rest sometime.
Man's got to get some rest sometime.
This, and of course, Sarah is like the classic neglected wife. Now, she doesn't force herself on him in this scene. Sorry, I beg your pardon. He doesn't force us. He doesn't force himself on her at all. She
succumbs to his animal.
Succumbs to him. Well, basically, she's been
charisma.
in a loveless marriage for years, probably, and she's never had any form of affection, probably for quite a while.
Shouldn't have gone running with scissors.
Yeah, you'll put someone's eye out with those.
You lose your depth perception like that.
Now we're really finding out. Morgan was the town marshal. Duncan, sorry. and then you find out why it's happened. And you get this quote coming up as well about the dead as well. So she talks about how he's a dangerous man and makes people feel scared. And he says, he was just riding on through and just wanted a drink. And really, that's exactly what happened. Everybody has.
I like this part.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah. I said that with my sexy voice.
Nice.
That was me being philosophical.
That was me being philosophical.
I read that on a fortune cookie.
Yeah. Look how white my teeth are.
I would talk about Jungian philosophy, but
yeah,
I gotta go outside.
And
because that's where the outhouse is.
We can share some apple pie and talk about Hegelian dialectic.
This town's gonna look like hell.
It's gonna have a big graveyard, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Dig some more holes while you're at it. Yes, sir, Captain.
But when you think about it, really, all of the events of the movie so far, he's like just a huge shitlord, isn't he? Really, he sort of egged people on to do stuff, but it's the other people who have tried to catch him out. Do you know what I mean? All he did was come for a drink.
I love this part.
Paint the town red.
Those bowler hats are brilliant as well.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that sort of ties in. I mean, the comment that the putting the name hell on the sign, all these people are running around afraid and scared, you know, and with all these secrets to hide. There's like a bunch of there's a lot of philosophical underpinnings to that too.
Yeah.
And I love he comes in and gives her the stink eye.
Yeah.
The hypocrisy of it.
Oh yeah.
She's doing her hair because she's actually happy, and gives her the stink eye. Hypocritical. He's been doing that for quite a while. I mean, it is sort of like typical 1970s sarcasm, anti-conservative sarcasm, isn't it? But I mean, in today's world, we would call that, you know, if it's criticism of conservatives, really criticism of hypocrisy in authority and like neoconservatism, isn't it? Really,
yeah.
Because conservative values will always remain conservative values. But what's happening here is the whole town is a sham.
Right. It's just pretense.
Yeah.
You know, they say one thing but do another.
Yep.
And yeah, you're right. The 70s was very much against that. I think
the liberals who would have been wanting to point out hypocrisy, they don't exist anymore, unfortunately. To a certain extent, I think it's ironic that the right, the more the centre and the right have now become those who point out hypocrisy. It's ironic, really, how things have changed over the years.
Yeah.
And can you believe that this movie's 50 years old?
Yep.
It's half a century old.
As I'm 48, yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you know, but you know, you raise a good point. It doesn't feel like when you watch a 50s Western, it's
dated. It's very dated.
Yeah, it's horrendously dated. But you watch this and it's like, this is something that it feels real.
Yep.
It's beautifully shot. It's very crisp.
Oh yes,
isn't it? I mean, they really got that right when they did the digital remastering 10 years ago. And there's a lot of things we take for granted. I mean, that's a nice smooth panning shot there, and we take all this for granted, but it was incredibly difficult to achieve technically.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and talking about crisp, I mean, even things like, you know, I've gone back. We took our daughters to see Ghostbusters at the theater.
Yeah,
you know, and I think it was a you know, Fathom Films event, and you know, this, even Ghostbusters, when you see the film grain, you know, things like that. But this is, you know, you bringing up crisp is very, very timely. It's the right film stock, the right camera, the right lighting, you know, and it's,
I mean,
beautiful.
We watched Lawrence of Arabia last, and that was beautiful as well.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Like
the other thing too,
I think it's like a lost art, really.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And the other thing too is that I think a lot of this is also, it tends to be a little bit more on the realistic side, where you know, in dusty parts of the area, people look dusty and gritty.
Yeah.
So that's it even adds to the realism of it all.
Absolutely.
Whereas if you went like to the 50s, you didn't get that. You got
everyone was clean.
Exactly.
Yes, everybody's clean. Everybody's shaven. You know, no, exactly right.
Yeah, I mean that point you made there about you know, the cinematography and the way that should be part of a movie, and that has been lost, I think, in a lot of filmmaking now. And I think a lot of directors have been inspired by Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory. Sorry, Paths of Glory, 1957. That was and that starred Kirk Douglas, didn't it? But he's getting that's a pathetic way to die, that, isn't it? A sharpened stick, killed by a sharpened stick. It just shows you how pathetic he's got, that he's so weak that he can be killed that way, and how they really think life is so cheap they would kill somebody in that fashion. They just don't care about anybody. But yeah, I mean, like the landscape and everything being a character, I think, was it Terry Gilliam said he learned from watching Paths of Glory that the landscape and the setting was actually another character.
Oh, and
that's part of the storytelling, is the actual location and setting. That's part definitely. That's classified as one of the, because it's telling you a story as much as one of the characters is telling you a story.
I wish they didn't have such a close up on the cylinders.
Yeah,
I can see the blanks.
Oh yeah.
But chop my ear off.
Chop my ear off.
No,
this is
the location is
where he really goes out on a limb to do something that he's not being asked to do by the townsfolk, and it just shows you that what's going on in the town is and all of the malarkey is bullshit. It's completely irrelevant. It's just a sideshow. The real story, this is where you realize the real story here is this guy getting revenge on these three, which is why he goes out into the desert to haunt them and to freak them out. So by the time they get to the town, their minds aren't right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is all part of him, like tormenting them.
Well, and that's it. You know, his whole arc through this entire movie is just mind games with basically
everybody, isn't it? It's mind games with everybody, and I mean, with the townsfolk, it's just, for want of a better word, taking the piss out of them all, isn't it? Really, it's just a long con, isn't it?
Yeah,
makes them think, and as we see later in the movie, he makes them think that he's helping them to destroy this enemy and properly defend themselves and defend their businesses and their property and their women. And all he's done is take their women, destroy their property, and ruin their businesses. And then we find out at the end of the movie, don't we?
No spoilers.
Spoiling it. What happens when they think he's going to save them?
The thing is, like as I said, if he's an avenging angel, he's avenging for everyone, which means that they're all guilty as well.
The townsfolk, yes, exactly. And I think the point that now it's painted red. The idea, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's like Monopoly houses now. The idea is that they're already in their own hell.
Yep.
Because of the way they are, they're evil people, and they're already in their own hell.
I love the just the standing studs in the unfinished building.
It's been painted red.
More red.
And this lovely big scene.
Welcome home, boys.
They did actually use loads more red paint than the quote in the movie.
Oh, I'm sure.
When he says, even the church, especially the church. This is beautiful, this whole scene here coming up, which reveals the whole story all along. There's so many different levels in this movie, isn't there? There's so many different levels to the story. Because it looks like a typical Western, but it's not really. It's about morality, it's about judgment, a lot of different things. That hat he's wearing is a Smokey hat, isn't it?
Yep.
Smokey the Bear.
Well, no, it's the Smokey and the Bandit one is got a little bit bigger brim, I think. I forget there's an actual name for the hat. I just can't remember what it is.
Yeah, the Tennessee State Troopers, where it's like a.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's because the Smokey the Bear wore that hat.
Yeah,
I think that's where the slang Smokey came from. But I might be wrong. That's a large salty area. This whole area here was what was left over after the tears of 2016.
Time Mullet took those tears back and dumped that salt there.
You see how he's warning them not to, but he's not warning them, but saying you're not allowed to go.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the two Mexican guys hurt because they had nothing to do with it.
The guilty will be punished.
You know, Clint Eastwood got a lot of criticism from critics for just copying the style of Don Siegel and Sergio Leone. And I'm thinking, well, that's a bit unfair because he was just learning, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was learning the trade,
Yeah,
and it's a damn good starting point to start from. And even if it isn't totally original, it's still damn good because you're starting from copying them is not a bad thing at all.
Most critics suck anyway.
They do.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was never a fan of the Siskel and Ebert guys. I really despised them. And every time they'd go, sick house on someone, I'd be like, well, what have you done? I'd like to see you make a movie under budget and better than that.
Damn right.
It's like, they're not nobodies. They never were.
Yeah.
You are.
Give him the signal.
Give him the signal. He just
That
drinks his
makeup on
whiskey and just throws the glass down after he's finished with it. It's like
that makeup on Mordecai's face looks really good. It looks like.
Do you know
man,
Billy Curtis got a stiff neck doing this movie because he had to look up at Clint. How tall's Clint?
I think it's like over 6 feet.
And like
the
the actor, he just keep coming to look up at him all the time. And he apparently it's hard on his neck. Apparently,
And I'm trying to pick up the music, and music's under there. It's subdued.
yeah, it's just enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not.
It's not in your face.
It just shows though that you don't need to have fantastic music to make a good movie, because it's just there in the background. It's not particularly amazing, but it's just enough to set the right tone.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah, and it sets the mood, and it's like the build-up of that in the background, that high tone in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Building the tension. And this, you see how that long shot was just walking away from them and just leaving them isolated and defenseless.
So yeah, Clint's 6'3" and a half.
So this is the hero moment, isn't it? Because the whole idea is the lone stranger comes to help a town, and he's set them up to think he's going to help them, and now it's the exact opposite. He's just leaving the town and walking off and leaving them to get killed.
They even painted the rope red.
Yeah, I was just noticing that.
Yeah.
And you see the last building he goes past as he leaves is the church.
The church, yeah.
That's no coincidence. That basically you've got no hope.
The church, that lazy priest.
Time to meet your maker.
The ladder's red.
Mm-hmm.
He comes into town. What the hell?
You would stop and think, what the hell's happening here?
What the hell?
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on?
Welcome home, boys.
You want some beans, Mr. Taggart?
Had enough beans.
Yeah, Mordecai did his job.
Yeah. The most shocking thing is here, all that fine whiskey and beer just being ruined.
Yeah, the douchebags.
Yep.
That tablecloth's getting dirty.
That's terrible.
Don't spill the beer. Don't.
Not the beer. Not the beer.
Not the beer.
I mean, you know, and
You have the high ground.
Yeah, and what's
I mean, they are completely useless.
You got a shotgun.
Well, and yeah, well, he really did tell
that's
them.
One hell of a stunt.
Oh, yeah, that's a rough one. Ouch.
Oh, that's a good stunt.
But you know, he
And
really did set them up. If they had followed through,
yep,
and had any competence.
This scene here is great because he runs to the water, and he's the guy who's responsible for all this corruption. Bang. I don't know whether it's like unintended, but maybe is that supposed to be like a baptism when he falls back into the lake?
Time for you to die.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's like a fake. It's a party. Comb overs looking particularly comb over.
It's bulletproof.
And that's just a completely pointless overreaction there, isn't it? Like 1970s westerns always had completely pointless things. Just and when you drink the beer, when you drink the whiskey, just throw it through a window for no reason. because you're a badass. Okay.
You're a bad man.
Just do it. Imagine Clint Eastwood being your director. Okay.
Throw it.
Have we done this? Have we done this 5 takes or 6?
Better be 1.
This is where we find out that Callie is also being has also been Stacey Bridges' romantic interest, and she was involved. It's obvious that she must have tipped them off about the marshal. Crying and humping. These bottles of whiskey in these movies, it's just like caramel coloured water, isn't it? Obviously not drinking real whiskey. They'll be totally screwed, wouldn't it, after 3 takes?
Yeah, I'm sure it's water or tea, something like
tea
that.
Yeah, that stuff wasn't. That stuff wasn't, like even close to the quality that we have nowadays. So.
Oh
It was rough.
Oh no, the sons of bee. He's real emo though, isn't he? Oh, there you go. Uh-oh.
What?
Now this scene of Clint in front of the fire is, well, there you go.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah. With the whip.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Perfect.
And the way it cuts back between the whip noises.
I'm Batman.
Yeah. And I suppose there's a symmetry here because they're all in the bar and they're doing nothing in the same way that nobody did anything when he was getting whipped. But they're sitting in the bar out of complete fear. I think they would go out, really. This is the only bone of contention I got with this movie. The other 2 guys wouldn't just sit in the bar and let that happen.
Yep.
I mean, when I first saw the movie, I thought, yeah, they're so scared. They're scared of going out there. But since I've watched it a few more times, I think he's been getting inside their heads and that, but they would look out at least.
Yeah, I'm okay with it because I think it puts them in the same category as as the people. At their heart,
so they're ultimately
cowards. Yeah,
they're going to save their own skin. They certainly didn't go to help their friend, did they? So
no, exactly.
Didn't bother at all.
When they have the upper hand,
enough.
They're big and brave. That's my take on it.
Yeah,
no, that's a valid point. Now he's trying to use them as a human shield.
Very Saddam Hussein of him.
Yeah. And
I like grin on Modified's face.
yeah, and now he starts throwing dynamite sticks. That's straight. That just shows you, like, obviously they're duds, but he's playing mind games all the time. It's extreme.
Oh, absolutely.
This is actually the 11th highest grossing Western of all of the 70s, the entire 10 years. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good achievement, really.
Yeah, not bad for his first director job.
I thought his first director job was play Misty for me.
Oh, first Western.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, first directing a Western. It's his second directed movie. His first directed Western.
Which was one of the few movies of his that I really didn't like.
Yeah, I didn't like it either.
It was too plotting and slow.
Mm. And the way he's getting strangled from above again. I don't know why, but these, when they're getting strangled like this and grabbed from above by the rope, always reminds me of the film Alien 3, because in that movie there's about 2 people get grabbed from up above.
Yeah.
I'm pulled
and
up.
I don't know why, it's just
It's because it was really Clint.
Come on, Zeb, shoot down the rope. Shoot down the rope.
But again, Pale Rider, similar, where he just kills them off one by one.
Yeah.
And you're going to see where he walks out in the background.
Oh,
while just exactly the same way that he does in Pale Rider, you see him walk out because he leaves in Pale Rider. He leaves his hat in the middle of the street, and then comes back to it at the end of the movie, and you see him blurred in the background walking up and picking his hat up. Similarly, in this one, you see him blurred against the flames.
Remember what I told you to remember. Help me. Help me.
Over here.
Anytime.
Want some candy? There you go. That's such a simple idea, but so effective. And that shot there is perfect.
Yeah.
Who are you?
I'm the Batman.
That's the only correct answer.
And I think it's the same way he kills the guy in Pale Rider as well. Shoots him full of holes.
Yep.
But I think he shoots him in the head as well, doesn't he?
Yep.
Right between the eyes.
Just to make sure.
Yeah.
You're not coming back.
And there you go. Flops dead on the street. Oh no, but who's this? Dun, da, 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 da.
A wild saloon owner has appeared.
I finally used my shotgun correctly.
But
where am I?
Mordecai saves the day. That's an interesting little side angle there. I think that's something that Sergio Leone would have done as well. The idea that the main character is not omniscient.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is it shows that Mordecai is the only one that had any courage.
And had his
the only one who had any balls, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
So good.
More business for the Undertaker.
More business for the Undertaker.
Yeah.
Where's Pole Bearer?
And what's left of the town? Look at the state of that. I mean, this is the retribution that there is literally nothing left.
Everything's burnt down.
What's the movie where you sit on a throne of lies?
Yeah.
Everything's burnt down, but my comb over is still perfect.
So yeah, I mean, there's nothing left of the town at all, but that's the price I paid because it was all based on
a lie,
corruption, and a lie. And there's Sarah, who's leaving the town, got nothing left. I mean, husband's dead, and
everything else is
the
blown
hotel's
up.
Screwed. Yeah, doesn't want to stick around there. He's surprisingly happy. The guy used to be the sheriff. Hey, I'm happy. Only got one eye now, but I'm happy.
Yeah. No depth perception, but I'm a jolly Jap.
This is it.
Right.
The final scene, which was much debated, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And in the end, I think it chose the best ending in the end. I never did know your name. Yes, you do.
Yeah, that recognition.
Yeah.
And Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. That's a nice last shot there.
Yeah, and I mean, that just sets it up
Perfect.
Yeah.
Marshal Jim Duncan, rest in peace. And again, the book ending, and as we've begun, the same scene fades off into the heat haze.
Yeah, back to those same
I'd say just thinking that in this movie he comes out of the heat haze into the heat haze. Pale Rider, he comes out of the snow into the snow.
Yeah,
so element.
And that's another example of the dichotomy between the two movies. There you go, and that's it.
That was a good observation
there, gentlemen, because that music came in just at perfect time, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, not often a movie leaves you with a tingle factor these days.
No, but that's it. It's I don't know. It's like we were talking about. You don't have to have every question answered, everything spelled out.
Nope.
Not at all. There should be some mystery in life. Well, there's lots of mystery in life, so there should be mystery in your entertainment as well.
Yes, exactly. And this goes against the grain of what we see today, where everything has to be explained. Nothing can be left unexplained.
That's the thing. Like I consider myself relatively intelligent, so I don't need my handheld all the way through something. It's like
and I think
I can work it out myself.
The big bods at Hollywood, what's left of it anyway, they think that fans or fan culture like to know everything about everything. Well, some fans do, but the point is that part of the beauty of art is that it's never a complete picture.
Exactly.
And,
yeah. If you don't have interpretation and discussion and argument,
well, that's it.
That takes away from a lot of it.
Exactly. So this was a controversial in its day. It was still a commercial hit, and it's listed as one of the best movies of the 1970s. But we've talked about the way the critics criticized it. But to be honest, those critics and whatever they said hasn't had any detrimental effect on this movie at all.
No. And a lot of the times critics get wrapped up in the here and now and all that stuff. Like you were talking about them complaining that basically he's just aping previous directors, but once you have some distance with it, you see which ones remain, which ones have that special something that sparks with the people. So
well, there was also like I said, the fact that he's kind of working in there and sort of like obscuring the genre, where he gives it a real sort of a supernatural feel to it.
Yeah.
Especially with the sound, as well as it being a Western. And back then it was a Western or it wasn't. And that was something a little bit different.
Yeah. I completely agree. And the use of the sound at the beginning and the end just that
puts you on edge slightly, doesn't it?
Yes.
And that's meant to do that. Yeah. There's a couple of things with the. It was you picked it because it seemed a bit offbeat. It wasn't a conventional Western, and he deliberately wanted to play the supernatural angle on it, and he wanted to have things not quite right, not quite normal, and what film isn't complete without somebody who's half-sized. That always helps to make things a bit more unusual. Leone would do things like that, and of course, the guy who played Mordecai, the actor who played Mordecai, was Billy Curtis. It was actually a really good actor.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And it's definitely got that unreal, sort of unearthly quality to it. Sitting it by a lake, I think there was no coincidence with that, because I'm thinking about the Lake of Galilee as well. And also there's like the idea of, like, didn't King Herod build his super duper city on the Lake of Galilee or somewhere like that? And I think there's definitely, you could read a lot into it. There's a lot of allusions to classical literature and biblical themes, but there's also a lot of moral allusions as well. And like we said before, it really takes the established tropes of the wandering hero and the man with no name, and everything that he learned from spaghetti westerns under Leone, and even what he learned with Siegel. And yes, there's a play on words where there was definitely some seagulls there beside the lake. But you know, the bottom line is that he took all of that and he developed it, so it wasn't just a repetition of what he'd done. It was a development of what he's learned, and he created something different. And then that became, he did that again with Pale Rider. He did it with his other movies, but he did it with Unforgiven. And I just think that he did something new with it. It isn't just a standard fare Western. It is, I think it took the Western in a different direction. It wasn't groundbreaking, and it didn't have a massive influence on Westerns in general, but he did do something new with it. I mean, as far as the legacy is concerned, I think the music certainly had an effect on people. I think the style of the soundtrack definitely had an effect on people, but I think it's one of those films in the 1970s which did something new without it becoming dated, because there was a lot of stuff in the 70s which is heavily dated now.
Oh yeah.
And you know, like blaxploitation movies, some of them are really dated now, unfortunately.
But they're to be honest, because they're tagged as blaxploitation and they have that theme, they are this
of the moment, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, they not only are they of the moment, but they're sort of iconic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, how many people watch Blackula? It's one of those movies that
it's a good movie.
You can't recreate today.
Yeah,
you could never do that today. It would be considered to be appallingly bad taste, let's say.
But even so, it was a good movie.
Yeah,
it was still a very good movie.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of those things that you could not recreate even if you wanted to, because it wouldn't be the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the reason that this movie is, I mean, the reason I picked it is obviously it's interesting because it's at the 50-year mark. I mean, officially, I think it was the first week of April it came out, and because it's one of those movies that I saw when I was young, and it really sticks in your mind, and it's memorable, and also it deals with universal themes that, although it's revisionist in certain ways, but it deals with universal themes of moral corruption and hypocrisy, good and bad. There's loads of gray areas in the movie, but it's beautifully filmed. It's so well done. It's a complete movie. There's no loose ends at the end other than that loose end of who is this person. It's a fairly straightforward story, really, but it's the way that story's carried, and it plays with the traditional hero who comes to the town to help the town, and this is the opposite, where he comes to the town, he's coming to judge the town, not to save the town. So that's why I think it's stood the test of time, and it's really impressive that it was directed. That's his second movie that he directed. He's a very talented man.
Oh yeah,
indeed.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's still one of my all-time favorite westerns. That and Pale Rider.
Yeah, it was such a good movie, Pale Rider.
And now that there's, now that somebody pointed out that there might be a connection, that makes it even better.
Well, it's the first of the two that he implies that he's playing a ghost, but he might even be playing the same ghost. I don't know. But I certainly think that character of Sarah is the same character in both movies.
Yeah, well,
possibly.
That's the thing that I could never understand. She knows the guy, but they never discuss where she knows him from.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's not the type of person that's going
She
to
seems to know him, doesn't she, in that movie? Yeah, when he turns up.
She's not
and
Clint Eastwood's not the type of person who's going to leave that kind of a hole in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So the having that kind of explains, that moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's also some similarities with other movies that he did, which were successful. And he repeated some of the stuff that he did in later movies, like in Sudden Impact. There was similar scenes that appear in this movie, in that movie. Sort of the awkward scenes, shall we say. And Harry gets beaten up by three men, similar to how the marshal gets beaten up by three men. It's there's a lot of similarities. So he was intelligent enough to know what worked, and he would use the similar things in other movies. So he was intelligent enough to know what worked in the movie he was in previously. So some of what he was doing, he just used tried and tested methods, but I do think he was trying to do something new with this one. An interesting quote before we go is that the people of the town, I think it's the sheriff, says, we forgive and forget, that's our motto. And the posters for the movie had the tagline of "They'll never forget the day he drifted into town." So that's interesting, because the whole notion of forgive and forget, well, forgiveness means to forget how someone's wronged you. But in this sense, the person who's been wronged is definitely not going to forget what's happened to them. But yeah, I mean, overall thoughts, gentlemen, before we go?
Just an absolute blast. A lot of fun to watch, a lot of fun to think about and discuss. So definitely a high recommend.
And Tony?
I love it. I mean, it's as I said, it's probably been 1996, I think, the last time I saw it. So it's been a long time between views, but it probably won't be a long time for another view, that's for sure.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to watch Pale Rider tomorrow.
Me too.
Yeah,
I think
definitely have to. I'm going to fit that in somehow.
That's so good.
Yeah, and finally, Jeff?
I've already fanboyed enough over this movie.
Fair enough. I think it's no problem.
Although another thing to consider is that the girl in Pale Rider, could actually be his daughter.
Interesting. I didn't think of that angle. Yeah, I didn't think of that actually, because we don't really know who the dad was of that character, do we?
Nope.
No, it's interesting that. I'm definitely gonna have to watch that again. But like I say, fantastic movie, really well directed for somebody who's just doing directing for the second time, and beautifully shot, beautiful cinematography, really good acting, fantastic cast of actors. Not an overly complicated plot, but brilliantly done and brilliantly performed, and an interesting take.
Just enough twists on everything that you expect in there, to where it's something new.
Absolutely. And looking back on a movie like that now, it's definitely still relevant, and it's just at the time I can see why it would have been shocking, but today's world slightly different. But definitely a movie that's worth watching and definitely entertaining. And again, another one with no fat on it, 1 hour 45 and a second, and it's a very enjoyable movie in the tradition of Leone, and very well done. So once again, thanks to my guests tonight, Ralph, and also Tony and Jeff, who joined me tonight for tonight's show. And thank you to everybody who turned up live to watch. And also thank you to everyone who will be watching this recorded. And once again, we do appreciate all of your interest and all of the subscribers. And if you like this, please subscribe. It's free. And consider dropping a like as well. And we'll see you for the next one. So to everybody, a very good night. Good night.
Thank you.
Later.
Good night.